The dog sat beside the high chair every morning for 3 days. They thought he wanted the food. He wasn't looking at the food once. Cassidy Malone was 10 months old and had been eating solids for 6 weeks. She sat in the high chair at the kitchen table every morning and ate whatever her mother Jade put in front of her. Oatmeal, soft fruit, small pieces of toast. With the focused enthusiasm of an infant who had discovered that food was one of the better things about being alive. The golden retriever Hank had never shown interest in the high chair. He had always been good around food, patient, trained. He understood the rules. On a Thursday morning, he stopped understanding the rules. He sat beside the high chair, not under it, beside it, and would not move. He watched Cassidy eat, not the food. Cassidy. His eyes tracked her hands, her face, her posture. Jade said his name 3 times before she put her hand on his collar, and he looked at her in a way that made her pause. Not defiance, something urgent trying to find a shape. She moved him to the living room. Cassidy finished eating. Cassidy was fine. Hank was being strange. On Friday morning, the same. Jade came downstairs to find Hank already positioned beside the high chair before Cassidy was even in it. He had never done that before. He sat, faced the chair, and waited. When Jade put Cassidy in and began feeding her, Hank leaned his face toward the tray. Not toward the food, toward Cassidy. His nose moving in that slow, reading way. This time, her husband Derek saw it too. He's been like that all morning, Jade said. Food obsession. Derek said, he's picking up something new in the diet. Jade wasn't sure, but the explanation was convenient, and she was tired, and the day was already full. She moved him to the living room again, Saturday morning. Hank was positioned at the high chair before the family came downstairs. He had been there long enough that his weight had left an impression in the kitchen mat. He was not panting, not agitated, not anxious. He was still and watchful, like a dog who had made a decision and was simply waiting for everyone else to catch up. Jade's mother was visiting that weekend. She watched from the kitchen doorway, coffee in hand, and said the thing that sealed it. He's going to knock that baby out of the chair one day. You need to shut him out of the kitchen during meals. 3 people. 1 explanation. Jade had the training of common sense and the accumulated opinions of everyone around her. She put Hank outside. If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you're in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Saturday lunch, Cassidy ate in peace. Ate less than usual, but she was teething. Saturday dinner, she ate very little and was fussy. Jade attributed it to the tooth coming in. Saturday night, Cassidy slept restlessly. At 2:30 a.m. on Sunday, Hank began barking from the backyard. Not his warning bark, not his play bark. Something sustained and urgent and coming from directly below the kitchen window. Derek went to let him in. Hank went straight to Cassidy's room. He pushed the door with his nose and went to the crib and raised both front paws to the rail and pressed his muzzle toward the baby's face. Derek called Jade. Cassidy's cheeks had a flush that did not look like sleep warmth. Her breathing was too fast. The thermometer read 103.8 degrees Fahrenheit. At the pediatric urgent care clinic, the physician, Dr. Marcus Webb, examined Cassidy for 12 minutes and ordered a blood panel. The results came back in 40 minutes. Cassidy had an early-stage systemic allergic reaction, her body reacting to a trace protein from a new soft food introduced into her diet 6 days earlier. Not anaphylaxis, not immediately, life-threatening. but building the kind of reaction that had been accumulating in her system quietly for days. That would have become an emergency within another 18 to 24 hours. Dr. Webb said, "In infants, this age, the allergic cascade is slow enough that it often looks like ordinary fussiness until it abruptly isn't. You made the right call tonight." He paused, looking at his notes. How long ago did she start eating the new food? "Thursday," Jade said. He nodded. "The same day the dog started sitting beside the high chair. Has your dog ever done something that made no sense until it was the only thing that made sense? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. Dogs smell allergen proteins in food, and they smell the systemic response in the human body when that protein begins producing a reaction. Hank had been sitting beside the high chair since the first morning the reaction began accumulating. He was not watching the food. He was watching what the food was doing to his baby. Every correction pushed him to the living room. Every morning, he came back. Cassidy came home on a modified diet and with an epinephrine pen prescribed for the house. Hank was inside when they arrived. He went to the car seat, sniffed twice, and exhaled slowly. He has not sat beside the high chair once since. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never asked for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Jade told Derek later that she could still see it. Hank's face on that Saturday morning, looking up at her from the kitchen mat, waiting while everyone around him reached for the wrong explanation. She thinks about the 11 hours between putting him outside and letting him back in. She thinks about what she was told and what she believed, and how those two things lined up so neatly that she never noticed what they were leaving out. The gap between what Hank knew and what they knew was 3 days. The gap between what they knew and what they almost didn't find out was 18 hours. Next time, a dog who stood between a sleeping toddler and the back door for an entire night. Nobody understood why until the gas company arrived at dawn.